Most Kenyans want issue-based politics rather than personality-based politics. That is a fact. That is what Kenyans want. But in my view, Kenyans are doing the exact opposite of what they want. For instance, you will hear people say, I don't need to read the BBI report. I don't need to read the BBI Act. Why? Because Raila has read it for me, Raila Odinga. And he says it is okay. And therefore it is okay for me. Other Kenyans who will not tell you anything will just say they're against the BBI. But if you investigate further, the only reason they're against the BBI, because they've never read a single sentence in the report, is because Deputy President William Samoei Ruto is against it. And the people doing this went to school. Some of them are very educated. So I guess they should seek a full refund from the university they went to. Oh yes. They should also seek a full refund of school fees from the high school they attended. Because that level of reasoning is lower primary school. So we may not want to seek a refund from the primary school because at least they got the basics of speaking a language, expressing themselves. At least some of them. The tragic thing here is that being stuck on personality politics can have devastating consequences. A presidential candidate emerges and tells you, the people of Kenya, that they're capable of solving all your major problems. And we all know that politicians rarely, very rarely, speak the truth. And so, it's only logical that you confront this presidential candidate with issues, starting with the issue of their track record in the past. What has that politician done in the past? If that politician is Machakos governor, Alfred Mutua, for instance, they have a track record of what they've done in Machakos County. Of course, not everybody likes this politician, but here we are looking at the facts. Roads we can see, Machakos People's Park, that still generates revenue for the county by attracting visitors even from Nairobi, etc., etc. Personality politics and tribal politics will tell you that Mutua does not have the tribal numbers to win a presidential election. But so what? We're discussing the issues. In sharp contrast, another presidential candidate who has done nothing for Kenya, a presidential candidate who has been linked to multiple corruption scandals, but has the tribal numbers to make a decent stab at the presidency, comes along. And we warmly embrace that particular candidate because they have a realistic chance of winning the presidency. We completely ignore the issues. Now we humans, never change. One of the things about human beings is that they're very consistent. So if you want to know what somebody is going to do next, what somebody is going to do in the future, you look at their past. Their past will tell you. You look at issues, how they've tackled issues in the past. It will tell you exactly what that politician will do when you elect them president. But Kenyans ignore all this. Yeah. And the result is, just a few short months after that particular person is elected, Kenyans start crying, including his staunchest supporters. How can Kenyans be helped? Really? How can you help Kenyans in such a situation? In 2013, I looked at all the presidential candidates and I looked at their track records and how they had handled issues in the past. And I shortlisted all of them to two, Martha Karua and Raila Odinga. And then I concluded for myself that at that time, the most important thing for the country was for us to fully implement the 2010 Constitution. I concluded that if we went for 5 years, 2013 to 2017, without any new bright ideas, without any new initiatives, but we fully implemented the 2010 Constitution, Kenya would be a much better place. And so, I went to the polling booth and cast my vote for Martha Karua. Now, Martha Karua is not perfect. She's human. She is a politician. However, I was working with what I had. And looking back today, I believe I have been fully vindicated. Yeah, from all those guys who thought I was crazy. How can you vote for a woman? Martha Karua is not charismatic enough to win a presidency, etc., and all the other things people told me. Many other voters who voted different for different reasons have regrets today. Because the reality is that as we speak, the 2010 Constitution is not fully implemented. And where it was implemented very shoddily. Yeah, and this has caused us so many problems, including the 2017 presidential election. Problems. And we ended up needing a handshake, needing the BBI, both of which, in my view, interfere with our 2010 Constitution. Had we just fully implemented it, we would not have a vast majority of the problems we have. Indeed, I believe we would not have the massive foreign debt that now threatens to bankrupt the country called Kenya. Yeah, can you imagine Mombasa port gone? Yeah, taken over by those we owe money? We would not have a government forced to hike petroleum prices very unreasonably. We would not have very many problems we have today. Why? Because we would have voted based on issues rather than personalities. Now, believe it or not, there is a time in Kenya's history where we got it right. Because a vast majority of Kenyans focused on the issues rather than the personalities. We used to have a politician called Charles Rubia. Charles Rubia was the very first black African mayor of Nairobi. Now, in those days, mayors were elected by councillors, and a vast majority of councillors in those days were still Mzungus. And the fact that they elected Charles Rubia tells you a lot. The politics behind Charles Rubia winning and becoming mayor are of course very obvious and telling. He was a man who would support the system rather than the people. During the Jomo Kenyatta presidency, in the years that followed, Charles Rubia was close to the dreaded Kiambu Mafia, who wreaked havoc, assassinated some great Kenyans, etc., etc. But in the 90s, the same Charles Rubia came out with another Kenyan called Kenneth Matiba and demanded that the country should return to multi-party politics. Now, many Kenyans didn't like the man, for obvious reasons. His past track record, what he had done during the Jomo Kenyatta presidency. But they fully backed him based on issues. The issue he was trying to push through was critical to most Kenyans. And so they ignored all the excess baggage linked to the personality, all the past issues linked to the personality, including the individual likes or dislikes of the character, and fully backed him. And of course, Charles Rubia ended up paying a very high price for standing up on behalf of Kenyans. But at the end of the day, what Charles Rubia and Kenneth Matiba started resulted in a better Kenya. The issue was made so huge that it could not be ignored. The issue became so huge that it brought down the KANU government and returned Kenya to multi-party politics. Bottom line, we grabbed that particular opportunity. And today, because we did, we're in a much better place than we would have been had we remained in a dictatorial system, the KANU system. I get the sense that very many Kenyans are looking for a perfect leader, spotless, with a brilliant track record. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Such a character does not exist. What we need, and all we need, is to focus on the issues, the really important issues. President John Pombe Magufuli of Tanzania has not allowed freedom of the press. He has made life very difficult for the opposition. And indeed, as we speak, there are 4 more Tanzanian politicians seeking political asylum in Kenya. But there's another much bigger issue that East Africans and indeed Africans need to focus on. Interference, bullying by Western powers. This is a critical issue for the future of Africans. And Magufuli has handled it much better than any other African leader we know. He has confronted the dictatorial and imperialist tendencies of the West. He has stood up to them. But what we have focused on, most of us Africans, are press freedoms in Tanzania. What we have focused on are the opposition and what they're going through in Tanzania. Instead of supporting Magufuli, instead of creating a situation where this is a trigger for change right across Africa. How will press freedom in Tanzania? I'm not saying I don't support press freedom. We're just talking about the political issues and what is more important than what. What will press freedoms in Tanzania help towards liberating Africa? Indeed, those same powerful Western powers will always use a free press to push through the agenda. The agenda towards continuing to colonize us forever. They will also finance the opposition, to destroy, to crush any leader who goes against them. Magufuli is not a perfect person. Indeed, he has very many flaws. And he has done very many things in Tanzania that are detestable. However, what is the big issue here? Freedom for Africa. The freedom and sovereignty of Africa and Tanzania. When you fail to tackle the big elephant in the room, everything else is irrelevant. So, let's come back to Kenya. What do we need in 2022? I think it's very simple. We don't need new ideas. We don't need a hustler movement. All we need is somebody to fix the economy and somebody to fully implement the 2010 Constitution. Period. And that presidential candidate, ideal presidential candidate for the country called Kenya, must have a track record proving that he can do those two critical things for the country called Kenya. Everything else, every other problem facing the country currently is peripheral. Indeed, if we solve these two problems, it will solve many other problems we have. Fixing the economy will create jobs. Fixing the economy will result in a booming private sector in Kenya. Fully implementing the 2010 Constitution will get rid of electoral fraud and the pop business. They'll be gone forever. Fully implementing the 2010 Constitution will give power and money to the counties. Fully implementing the 2010 Constitution will solve the gender issue, so that we have more women in parliament, which will automatically result in a more caring and a more listening government. Folks, we continue focusing on personalities and nothing will change. We focus on the issues and everything will change faster than you think. Now, if you like this video, please remember to give me a like. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.